Good afternoon, I'm Tyler Danberg. After a 92-82 loss at Wisconsin Saturday, 14-7 Ohio State men's hoops looks to bounce back at Maryland Thursday at 8:30. Hear the Jake Diebler show up next on the Fan. Number 11 Ohio State women's hoops beat Nebraska 90-71 Sunday. All 5 starters were in double figures, including 30 points from Shalani Cambridge. Buckeyes visit number 25 Washington Thursday at 9. NBA, Jared Allen's career-high 40 points helped the Cavs trounced the Trailblazers 131-11 Sunday. The win came a day after Cleveland dealt DeAndre Hunter to Sacramento for Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder. NFL Saints will play in the league's first regular season game in Paris next season, with the opponent announced during the league's schedule reveal this spring. This update sponsored by Dr. Mark Levy. If you're snoring and not sleeping, call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit sleepbettercolumbus.com. Stop snoring, sleep better, live better. Breaking sports news when it happens on the Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
From Learfield, this is the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters, a fun casual joint, and brought to you statewide by Encova Insurance and by the American Dairy Association Mideast on the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics. Now, along with Coach Jake Diebler and former Ohio State captain Ron Stokes, here's the voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels.
Thank you for joining us for this week's show as Ohio State gets ready to stay on the road Thursday playing at Maryland before coming home to take on Michigan on Sunday. Buckeyes coming off Saturday's 92-82 loss at Wisconsin. Jake, thanks as always for your time. And always curious, you have the feeling and the reactions you have immediately when a game's over, but after you've had a chance to watch it, any differences just about how you felt about certain things?
No, I think our defense didn't feel like it was good enough live, and it wasn't good enough on film. You know, I think the disappointing thing is we had some uncharacteristic breakdowns. You know, some things that we had been doing much better in, and you know, you can't give up that amount of points on the road and expect to win. So we did some good things offensively, even you know, not shooting the ball as well as we're capable of. We're still able to put up enough points. You know, our transition defense, we gave them some easy opportunities in transition for layups, which were just complete lack of communication, and so there were some general themes. Communication has to be significantly better. It had been. We had a bad day in that regard, and you know, we got to get better at guarding without fouling. I think fouling continues to be an issue for us. I think we just got to do a better job at keeping teams off the free throw line.
I know John Mobley Jr. is at the focal point of any opposition's defensive strategy because of especially the way he's been playing, Coach. I thought his 2 shot attempts early were great. In fact, he scored the team's first 7 points. He picked up his second foul right before the media timeout. Do you think that impacted his performance over? I know the defense is there, but
I think it did. He and I talked about that and just, you know, how to better handle that in the future. And I explained to him, I said, you know, you can't get spooked when you pick up 2 fouls early. Certainly we don't want you to pick up 2 fouls early, but, you know, and this is why I play guys with 2 fouls in the first half, because the analytics don't make sense to bench guys for an entire half because they picked up 2 early fouls. And on the flip side, I think the player has to understand that. Like, don't change who you are because now all of a sudden you have to play safe in your mind because, you know, you might pick up a 3rd foul in the first half. Like, if you do, it's not ideal, but we'll adjust. You know, and so I think he and I talked about that after the game and just, you know, helping him kind of process how to handle that a little better. But I thought he got some good looks throughout the course of the game that he'll hit next time.
And when you say play safe, it's on both ends because it's not just on the defensive end. It's also that you don't want to pick up a charging foul. So then now in the player, we all know you cannot play any sport, especially basketball, playing tentative.
Right.
It's not going to work. But, like, what are some of the other things that he has to deal with by playing at the level that he's playing with right now?
Well, I think, you know, teams are like our guards have seen. They're seeing 2 guys to the ball at times coming off ball screen. So we've had to do a lot more, you know, off-ball action and manipulate some things before we get to the ball screen at times, or put it in certain spots of the floor that make it harder to commit to. And then I think what he's done a great job of is when he does catch it, he's played with tremendous pace and poise, and pace being oftentimes slowing down. So teams have tried to speed him up even the last handful of games, and he's really played it with that poise that's been so critical. Thought a couple of segments he lost that, against Wisconsin, but we were still able, he and us, to help him manufacture some looks that were pretty good that he's going to hit most of the time.
Is that where playing some different defenses can come into play with helping somebody that's picked up an early couple of fouls?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly have been mixing up defenses more, and there were some stretches there against Wisconsin where we had to do some things defensively that, because we were trying to find a way to get a stop, and we just weren't doing it well enough. So, I think for us, we gotta execute the foundation of who we are defensively better. We can't do it at the level we did against Wisconsin and expect to be a good defensive team. So that's where it starts. And then the two things that, for us are guarding without fouling and guarding hard without, I wouldn't say without fouling, because there's a physicality required in this league, but not putting teams to the free throw line as much. Fouling shooters, fouling guys on drives when they're going to shoot. And then rebounding. We got to continue to be a good rebounding team. We did a better job against Wisconsin on the glass. That was encouraging. So, we got to put those things together, though. Like, we can't be good in one, not in the other. We got to put them together on the same game.
We've talked about this, Coach, where you have to have a short memory after wins and losses, right? Because you got to move on. When you look at your team, you're at Michigan. You're leading in the second half. You're playing against Wisconsin. They don't lose at home that often, and you're up a good margin. That speaks to just talk about what that does for your team confidence to know that you can go on the road and be productive like that.
Well, listen, I think we've shown that we got a good team, and we've shown an ability to execute a game plan for stretches, specifically when in the first half really well. In the second half, we got to be better. These last few games, we have not been good enough in the second half, and I think at times we're seeing a segment that we're maybe not getting the stops we need to get, but we're not helping ourselves on the other end either. We're going down, taking a quick, contested shot versus playing inside out or whatever it is. So that type of maturity and poise, you got to have, especially when you're on the road, because those, instead of having a 4 or 6 point run, it becomes 10 or 12. We got to be able. We need guys to step up and say, no, we're not giving that 10, 12-point run. We're going to step in and make something happen here and fight to have a great offensive possession and then turn around and execute, defensively.
If you've got a question for Coach Diebler, you could submit it to our Union Home Mortgage inbox at ohiostatebuckeyes.com and click on Coach's Show Inbox, Union Home Mortgage. Learn about their 1% down payment program at uhm.com, NMLS number 2229. More of today's show presented by Roosters coming up on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
When it comes to your cancer diagnosis, the choice for your care is clear.
And when you choose the James at Ohio State,
you're opting for care from a highly specialized team dedicated to treating one type of cancer, yours.
A team that studies the unique makeup of your disease to develop a personalized treatment plan.
You're choosing our region's only comprehensive cancer center designated by the National Cancer Institute.
For your cancer care, the choice is clear. The James at Ohio State.
Hey, Ohio State fans! Next time that snack craving hits, Burger King has you covered with the O-Fry-O bundle. You get a medium fry, 8-piece chicken fries, 8-piece mozzarella fries, and an 8-piece chicken nuggets, all for just $10. It's perfect snack fuel for one, wherever and whenever you're cheering on the scarlet and gray. At BK, have it your way. You rule! Limited time only at participating Ohio area restaurants. BK is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Tax extra.
If you are a fighter, Modelo is your reward. So listen close. You stick to your coast at all costs. You never let traffic stop your drive. You aren't just a dreamer, you're a doer. You power through all of life's hills and valleys without hesitation. You're not looking to be discovered. You've already found your place. You are a fighter, and Modelo is your reward. You've earned every last drop of this rich golden lager, so raise it up high. Modelo, the mark of a fighter. Drink responsibly. Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Modern Office Methods, your authorized RICO dealer, can help your business optimize your print production with a competitive advantage. Our digital printing options will expand the type of paper and substrates from what your business can print on today. Add variable data capability, which allows for personalization of catalogs and mailers, and the ability for short-run label printing, which allows your business to print high volumes of custom labels quickly and on demand. Want to learn more? Start with a print assessment at momnet.com. Why risk it? You can count on Mom.
Running around is a requirement on the court, but it shouldn't be the norm for grocery shopping. Get everything in one place at Giant Eagle, with produce delivered daily, meat and seafood expertly cut by our team, and bread and desserts baked in store. Fresh is our thing. With My Perks rewards, everyday low prices, and weekly deals, saving is simple. Shop at Giant Eagle, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. For freshness, quality, and savings in one stop, Giant Eagle, because it matters.
Life is more fun with a pal. So is pizza. So check out Donato's $5 Pizza Pals menu. Order any large pizza and add on your choice of a sub, salad, wings, a 10-inch pizza, and more for just $5 each. Order your favorite $5 Pizza Pals from Donatos.com today. More toppings, more flavor, more fun. Donatos. Gotta love more.
Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan. You're listening to the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
And welcome back to our show this week. Time for our Elk and Elk injury report. And this time of year, everybody's dealing with all kind of bumps and bruises and all of that, Jake. But I know you've got to admire the way guys are trying to tough it out and play through some of the things they're dealing with.
Yeah, we were certainly dealing with some things heading into last game, and guys worked really hard to be available. Certainly weren't their best, but I'm appreciative of the toughness that this team has shown. And we've coming off an off day that we certainly needed, and we got a chance to get back on the court and practice here for a couple days before what is a big time stretch, a lot of games in a short period of time. So the training room is busy right now, but we got a great staff down there, and that's helping our guys out.
Yeah, our injury report brought to you by Elk and Elk. Serious fans of Ohio State athletics, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Go Bucks. And not just injuries, guys have got to work at keeping themselves not ill. Maybe that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, we dealt with a little bit of that too, but it's
comes with the territory.
Kind of how I'm raised is once you enter the arena, home or away, like you should find a way to at least mentally feel 100% right. Like that's just kind of the way I was brought up. Like once you step into the arena, there's no excuses. And we had some guys certainly play through some stuff and showed some toughness.
Adrenaline is a form of medicine.
Yes.
Right? You get that going and pumping in your system, you can get through some things sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And when you think about how a guy like Amari Bynum played in that game Saturday, and we asked you about this off the air a little bit, he was part of getting off to a good start in that basketball game. Are we seeing this young man continue to escalate the talent that he had coming in the door?
I thought he was really impressive. And when you look at what we're asking him to do in his first year, playing at the highest level of college basketball, the consistency that he's operated with has been really good. He approaches things the right way. He's a guy you can lean on because of just how consistent he is. But we need some other guys to kind of raise their level like he attempted to do last game. Like we need it. Now's the time. Like now's that time of year where great players step up and be great players, and guys raise their level and step up in the moment. And I think Amari showed some glimpses of that. He had some big time plays, effort, rebounding, drives, finishing through contact. It was a really impressive, when you take like just parts of the game, was an impressive part of the game was how he played.
There's certain things that players can say to each other that coaches just can't, right? And I know that you've said a number of times that you wanted Bruce to be more of a vocal leader. He has permission to do that. And there was a segment during the game where he was pretty animated at the bench. Is that part of what you want him to do more of?
Yeah, we listen, we want we have a great group of guys who we have like real chemistry in our team. And, I think you played, it's certainly there's coach to player accountability, but when you have player to player accountability, that's when you have something special. And that's what we're pushing guys to do more, because we have guys that can handle it. We have the maturity to handle it. And I think he can't be the only one. We need some other guys to do it too. Starts with, right, you got to take ownership over your own stuff. And, I think this misconception of you got to be perfect to lead others well, that's not true. You got to be authentic, got to be genuine. You certainly have a responsibility of your own standard. Mm-hmm. And, there's been a working to kind of teach guys how to lead better is something we've focused on. I've spent a lot of time on with guys, and I think we're seeing, more and more of that.
Does that mean that some guys can lead in different ways?
Yeah, I think you got to be true to yourself. When you lead, you can't. Leadership's not really something you can fake and get people to follow you. If you're faking it, eventually they're going to see that. So you got to be authentic to who you are. But there's some baselines that got to be met as far as being vocal and work capacity and consistency and stuff, and that's all part of the equation. I think we have some guys who have the potential to do really well in this space, but it's an area it's taken a lot of work to grow in.
Yeah, Paul mentioned about as you looked at the game again, and you said this small margin of error, especially on the road in this very competitive conference. There was a stretch where I believe your team was up by 10 or 9, and Blackwell made 2 great plays. He gets the 3, and then he gets the steal and the conversion. I know it's just one aspect of the game, but how did that impact how things might have turned at that juncture?
Yeah, well, I think it was a swing, but to me, what's more disappointing is what happened after that. Like, where is kind of like who in that moment? Okay, they just took a big punch, right? Now, who's going to punch back for us? Like, that's where we got to see guys in those moments. Like, don't wait till that thing gets 10, 12. Like, it was 5, and it was a quick respond now. We're doing things to help them, right? Like putting them in positions, but I think that's what this team, needs is someone to say, nope, okay, you just we're going to punch back right now, and we're not going to wait to do it. And that's what we're working on.
Is that where the thought of when to call a timeout can come into play sometimes, Jake?
Yeah, at times. We're using timeouts to certainly do that, but I think also using timeouts to rest some guys. We've been utilizing those, and then saving a timeout for end of game situations and things. So, and challenge. You want to save a timeout or two to be able to challenge, but. Yeah, I think at times you got to burn one early to say, like, hey, no more. If the guys on the court aren't doing it, you got to step in as a coach there and say, nope, like, we're going to stop this thing right here and come out and get a great look.
Had another successful challenge come out of that game.
Yeah, I mean, I just you wish it would just get right.
Yeah, I understand.
You don't have to do it, but that one was a pretty easy one. Felt like I had a good view of it. Yeah.
Yeah, here's one of my questions I was going to ask you, Coach, but I guess we can go to the Union Home Mortgage inbox. You mentioned, and this is from Jeremy in Akron, near my Canton Bulldogs. Yep. You mentioned after Saturday's game that 82 points should be enough to win, aside from effort. What are some defensive strategies when a player gets expectedly hot off the bench like Rapp did in the first half?
Yeah, well, I think there's things you can do to limit their touches. Now, obviously, with the guard play that they had, it wasn't a situation where you could just hug everybody else and let those guys go one-on-one, right? I felt like we made him earn, a few of those buckets, but once you get going, like, you have to adjust your gaps a little higher. You got to close out tighter. You got, there's things you got to do. I mean, you played, like, you see a guy's got it going, you got to do – tighten things up a little bit, and they're in that stretch. Specifically, we got caught too low in one of our gaps. That was an execution error, something that we had worked really hard on leading into the game, and then we had where we were playing hard, but we weren't communicating. We ended up with 2 guys running to the ball that eventually led to him being open. One of them was off an offensive rebound that he got. You know, because we had some guys, they contested and didn't sprint back into the play. You know, so there were just some self-inflicted things that he benefited from, and to give him credit, he hadn't shot that ball like that, you know, when he stepped up and did. And you see that at times. When you're at home, you see guys like that can get hot, but you can't let them stay hot. You know, we did a better job in the second half, obviously, but you know, we let that go on just a little bit too long.
Yeah, this was a guy that was shooting a little over 20% from three-point range coming into this game. Is this one of those where you also are mindful of what they've done in the past and hoping that they'll either sink to the level of what it says on the back of their card?
Well, I think, you know, I'm a believer in just the feel of the game, and I think certainly you're approaching the game with the analytics, you know, helping determine your game plan. However, you know, when a guy hits a couple, like you got to adjust. You know, I'm not one that just believes you just sit back and assume that it's going to go back to where it belongs. I think once you prove it, you know, a couple times. Now, one shot you don't change everything you're doing, but you hit a couple and that thing looked, that, you know, with the way he was shooting that thing, I don't even know if it touched the rim. So it was very easy for me. Like, hey, we gotta press up on this guy. We gotta take away his space and not let him get the catch and shoot shot off. Not do it in a way where we were going to deny his catch, you know, to create space for everybody else. But yeah, I think that's certainly part of it.
When you go into this game with your defensive strategy, you know that Nick Boyd and John Blackwell, 1-2 punch, one of the best scoring guards in the entire country.
Yep.
And then you have a guy like Austin Rapp starts to shoot and make shots. How difficult is it now to try to cover everything, if you will, because you know those two guys, if you don't pay attention to those two guys, it could be a big night. They still had 20 each, I believe, but still, when you add a third guy, how much more difficult is it to go out with your initial strategy?
Yeah, it's impactful. You know, I think there were stretches, especially in the first half, where we actually guarded those guys pretty well. I think them going 13 for 13 from the free throw line is part of the problem. Right, like we had some off, you know, away from the rim fouls on those guys that just were unnecessary. So, you know, I think that was part of it. But you know, certainly when you want to limit those guys, it creates puts other guys in opportunities to make decisions. And I thought Rapp and Winter, you know, specifically did a good job. And you know, Winter and 32, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Yeah, those two got just enough on the glass.
I say the same thing on the air.
You know, yes, it's out of respect that I don't want to screw it up because you know. So
same way here, Coach.
So I think they had some other guys step up too, and you know we're gonna see these guys again. So listen, we got to make some adjustments. But we can't beat ourselves in stretches. I think that's the biggest thing. Is, you know, we had too many kind of self-inflicted wounds in this game, and you can't do that. Certainly on the road, can't do it. You know, this time of year, period.
People think we just show up and do the game, Jake. We work on things like that before the game starts.
Well, I'm glad I can count on you. When you see me stuttering like that, you just go ahead and interject like that. That was great. Yeah, thank you.
We'll talk more with Coach Diebler. We continue with our weekly show presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Ready?
It doesn't matter if you're playing hard or working hard. Your workout only works out if you recover right. Chocolate milk helps you recover for what comes next. It's delicious and contains the right mix of protein and carbs to help refuel exhausted muscles. From biking to bench presses, Milk's protein helps you build lean muscle and gain more from your workouts.
Ready? Recover. Repeat. Brought to you by the American Dairy Association Mideast, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Around here, it's all-wheel drive all year round, and Toyota has more all-wheel drive choices than anyone. Now through February 2nd, get 2.99 APR financing on remaining new 25 Tacomas, excludes TRD Pro and Trail Hunter, or lease a well-equipped 25 Tacoma SR5 for $279 a month for 36 months with $39.99 due at signing, with approved credit through TFS. Tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details, or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Forever starts with the perfect diamond. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from the Diamond Cellar, and for over 78 years, our family has helped generations of couples celebrate love with brilliance, quality, and unbeatable prices. At Diamond Cellar, bigger diamonds and better prices are our promise to you. Whether you're popping the question or upgrading your sparkle, trust the experts. Because diamonds, they're our forte. Visit us at Diamond Cellar on Sawmill Road or at Easton Town Center and learn more at diamondcellar.com.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Now back to the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
The Roosters Foundation helps raise over $1 million each year for local charities and organizations and is the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes. The Roosters Foundation is donating $25 for every foul shot the Buckeyes make at home this season to the Down Syndrome Association of Central Ohio, providing support and opportunities to families and individuals living with Down syndrome. And welcome back to our show this week. We'll go back to our Union Home Mortgage inbox questions. And Stanley in Dublin asking about bench players stepping up when shorthanded against Penn State last week. How can you tell if a guy is ready when maybe they don't know how much they would be needed?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, you prepare and train, right, in constant communication with guys to make sure they stay ready. And it's hard. I mean, there was a point in my career where I didn't know if I was going to play in a game or not. And it's hard to do that. And I tell guys, like, I know what I'm asking you to do is hard in regards to staying ready, but you got a job to do. It's part of being a member of this team, and I think our guys embrace that. They've embraced staying ready and being ready and trying to get ready and perform better. And we got guys who care. I mean, that's the most important thing. And you just want guys to seize their moment. And we've seen some guys step up and do that, which is really encouraging for us heading down this last five weeks or so.
Coach, when you look at a guy like Colin White, he has really struggled from beyond the arc. Hadn't hit a three-point shot. I know it's a delicate thing. When do you try to get in there and maybe help him versus just allowing him to work out on his own? I know you're not expecting 20 points a game from him, but it would be nice to get a three because I think he has the ability to do it. But what goes into, paying attention to it but allowing it to run its course as well?
Well, we're certainly trying all of it.
Okay.
I think we're working with them. We've given him some space. We've worked with him. I think the biggest thing for him, he's got to be more confident. And there's also, I think, understanding situations better. When is the right time versus passing up one maybe he should have taken later versus maybe instead of shooting one early in his rotation, pass that one up, get some touch on the ball. So we're talking through that stuff. But I think the biggest thing, Collins, it's been well documented. He showed tremendous toughness in what he's been battling through. And, I think for us, we need him to certainly be aggressive. We saw it against Minnesota. Just play aggressive. Both sides of the ball, and so he showed what he's capable of in that regard. And you just got to keep working and trust the work. And we're doing some things, and even during practice, to help him try to get a little bit of a rhythm.
It certainly seems that Taysom Chapman has found a rhythm offensively. If we would just talk about what we've seen from him in the last 2 games.
Yeah, really impressive shot making, and I think I like his aggressive-ness. It's something, it's been an issue for him early in the year, was a lack of aggressiveness offensively. Now he started playing more aggressive and didn't, necessarily reap the reward for that when he first started being more aggressive. But you're seeing now, and he's earned, bigger opportunity. Now we just, and he and I have talked about it. We gotta shore up some things on the other side of the ball, and take some ownership over that. And but his shot making can be a real weapon for us, and provide some punch off the bench, which is something we've really needed and been searching for.
Coach, when you knock down a 3, obviously you feel confident, and then you feel like you can make the next one. How do you build confidence on the defensive end?
Yeah, well, I think you got to show them being successful on film when they are, and even if you got to go back in time a little bit, Ron, I think sometimes you gotta let them visualize when you say, do this. I think it's oftentimes you just assume they know exactly what you're talking about, and that's not the case. So being specific, and showing examples of them, even if it's in practice, if they haven't had an example in the game, even if it's in practice, show an example of them doing exactly what you're asking. This is what being aggressive looks like. It's when you hear the ball screen coverage, like getting into the ball and chesting the ball and fighting over the screen hard, like even if that was, in practice, like show exactly what it looks like. I think that's part of it, is let them see visually what you mean. And, for us, I think we got to be more aggressive and physical on the perimeter, and we got to have better discipline in the paint. We're putting teams to the free throw line too much. So I want guys to be aggressive, right? You can't play passive in this league. You can't play afraid to foul in this league, but you got to play smart. And we got to be physical. They allow you to be physical off the ball in this league, and we got to do that. But when a guy goes up to shoot, we got to have some discipline. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think we got to continue to be better.
Is that where footwork can come into play?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's certainly technique. There's a technical aspect to all of it, and it's stuff that we start working on back in June. And I think oftentimes, right, like you would see natural progression as guys were in a program for multiple years. Sometimes when you're recruiting guys who are here for the first time, there's some habits you got to break, or there's just different schemes that take time for them to adjust in. It's something we're constantly evaluating, even in recruiting in the portal, is what offensive and defensive scheme does this person who maybe has been in college for 3 or 4 years, what do they know? What have they done? Have they ever experienced what we're trying to do? If they haven't, can they pick it up quickly? And or if they have, that could be a real benefit. I think we saw that with Tilly. Tilly had done some elements of what we're doing offensively at Santa Clara, so that transition for him was easier on that side of the ball. And, those are all things we're kind of monitoring as you put together a roster. But I think the big thing is, play with great physicality and toughness, communicate. Doesn't matter what your scheme is defensively, there's some constants that you got to have.
Well, with Christoph Tilly, I'm still believing that it's going to happen. And looking at his numbers when he first chose to come to Ohio State through the portal, over 30% from beyond the arc. I know he banked one in. What game was that?
I can't remember.
Team up north.
Yeah, up north. That's right. I said maybe that's it. That's going to. Now he's up a little higher, 16.3. Anything you're doing differently with him to help him get back to the level he was last year?
Well, I think we're certainly working individually. We've talked about, we've kind of, if you've noticed, we've gone away from some of these like early in the clock, opportunities and tried to work more inside out versus maybe in transition and stuff. So I think the decision making is good and better, but yeah, it certainly opens things up for us if he can hit one or two out there, and also knowing when they're coming helps everybody else do their job too. So yeah, we want him to be aggressive, but I think we've got to start kind of inside out. That's what he's most comfortable with, and that's been our approach.
We'll talk more with Coach Diebler when we continue with our show presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Buckeye fans, choose chill. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. It's got that crisp, refreshing taste that makes those moments when you choose to rise above the noise and choose chill even better. Coors Light is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, so crack one open and take a sip. Coors Light, choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2025 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado, beer.
Hey, Ohio State fans, are you looking to score big with your home equity? Union Home Mortgage will help you unlock the value of your home and fund the promises you've made to yourself and your family. If you need to pay off debt, have home improvements, or whatever your family needs are, visit UHM.com and score financial freedom with Union Home Mortgage, the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Union Home Mortgage Corp. is an equal housing opportunity lender and MLS number 2229.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the court. That's why Encova Insurance is prepared for what's next and protects what matters most to you. With independent insurance agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova Insurance is an easy win for your peace of mind. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you.
AgPro has been family-owned and operated for over 64 years. We take pride in developing long-lasting relationships and offering first-class customer service. Need a new tractor, parts for your used equipment, or reliable service? AgPro has you covered. AgPro is here to serve you and your operation as your hometown dealer. Visit us today at any of our AgPro locations or go online to agproco.com to get started with your AgPro experience.
Enjoy more ways to save at Kroger, like low prices in every aisle. And when you download the Kroger app, you can clip and save more with digital coupons every week. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you can enjoy more ways to save and more rewards every time you shop. So it's always easy to save big every day with savings and rewards. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply. See site for details.
When you're here, you understand what it means to be a Buckeye. And at Elk & Elk, we're proud to wear scarlet and gray every Saturday. Every client, every day, means if you're ever injured, we're proud to stand with you in court. And when you're here at the shoe, we're proud to stand with you and cheer on the Buckeyes.
Whether we're here at the big game or in court, we are committed to you.
Elk & Elk, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Your Ohio State flagship station, The Fan. Your home for Buckeye basketball. This is the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Union Home Mortgage is the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Learn about their 1% down payment program at UHM.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS number 2229. And welcome back to our show this week. We'll go back to our Union Home Mortgage inbox questions. You kind of covered this a little bit, Jake, but Sam in Columbus asking about balancing a player who's not 100%, but you still need them on the floor for your team to have the best chance to win. How do you go about just monitoring all of that?
Yeah, I think guys earn the right to be able to play through some stuff like that, and you certainly it's something that trust that's built over the course of a season. It's easy to sit back and certainly we made some adjustments in the course of the game. When you look at the distribution of minutes and things, like we played some guys less who weren't didn't have it that game at the level we know they're capable of. I appreciate the intent of our guys and the effort to get back out there. We're certainly never going to put guys at risk. for further injury. But, guys earn, the opportunity to, I think, play through, or at least try to play through some stuff. And, that's kind of what we saw. We saw some guys find a way to be available who we weren't sure were going to be available even as early as, that morning.
Coach, with Brandon Knoll being out and the fact that Christoph Tilley has been up and down with his lower body injury that he has, what do you think about your different lineups when you've gone small? Have you gotten what you want? What more do you think you can get from that type of lineup?
It's been good and bad. I think we've seen some really good things come from it at times, and then other times wasn't as good. I think we certainly miss Brandon's size and physicality. He was a guy who was averaging 8 a game and 4 rebounds in Big Ten play, on the season, I guess. And you look at Big Ten play, he was 12-4. Obviously had a big game against Northwestern, but I think we miss it, no question. But we've had enough time now for some guys to I think, step up into that role, and we've made some adjustments. I think we're seeing Amari with some more minutes. Yvonne has played more minutes. When you have him and Tilley, right, like now it really puts you in a bind. So we've had to get creative on the fly with some lineup stuff. We were, able to do that against Penn State, and we did it a little bit against Wisconsin. But, I think for us it's, now we got some time to spend a little bit more preparation towards maybe some of those small ball lineups for us in the event that we need it. And, we can be a little bit bigger at some of the other positions. I think that's an important part of the recipe when you maybe are small at the 5 spot, but be a little bit bigger at the 3 and the 4 if you can.
The game has evolved. I was at the table at one of the breakfasts with the team, and I was dating myself. I said, hey, guys, when I played, didn't have a shot clock and only had the 3-point shot for half a season. They're like, what? Couldn't believe that. But the game continues to evolve, right? And now you see more teams with double bigs. Where do you see that's going? Is that just maybe temporary, but more and more teams are having bigs that are out there at the same time, can shoot threes, can make passes? Where do you think that's going?
Yeah, you see trends. You certainly see trends. I think one of the next trends is you're seeing it play out in the NBA. You're seeing much bigger point guards. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times rosters are being constructed, especially in the NBA, with certain level of playmaking from a couple spots, and everybody else being like highly specialized. And it's been that way for some time. You're starting to see some of that trickle down into college, but I think the size thing is, the college game is different. You can do some different things that you can't necessarily do at the pro level as far as defensive schemes and stuff. But you're seeing the value of rim protection. You're seeing the value of rebounding and how that translates to defensive efficiency. We, had every intent this year of being bigger. Mm-hmm. And, when we were, for stretches, we're not anymore, which we've had to adjust. It's part of the landscape. So I like the way our guys have fought to adjust, and there's going to be some times where we're going to have to play bigger and do it, and even though we don't have the depth necessarily to do it for significant minutes, we're going to have to be able to do that down the stretch here, and I think we can when we have taking Brandon out of the equation, when we have everybody else healthy. We just haven't quite had that opportunity yet, but hopefully we're trending in that direction.
It's a small sample size, but how do you evaluate what you've gotten out of 3 games from Puff Johnson right now?
Well, I think he keeps you see him get better and better each game. I think that's the encouraging thing. It's certainly not easy when you insert yourself in the middle of a season. The one thing I know, he plays tough. He's flying around. You see him landing on the floor. Like he's hustling. He's working really, really hard. And he's not trying to do too much offensively, which is good. But, he's got an opportunity to help us rebound and defend better. And I think he's doing that. And he'll keep getting better the more reps he gets.
We'll talk more with Coach Diebler when we continue with our show presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
When it comes to your cancer diagnosis, the choice for your care is clear.
And when you choose the James at Ohio State,
you're opting for care from a highly specialized team dedicated to treating one type of cancer, yours.
A team that studies the unique makeup of your disease to develop a personalized treatment plan.
You're choosing our region's only comprehensive cancer center designated by the National Cancer Institute.
For your cancer care, the choice is clear. The James at Ohio State.
Hey, Buckeye fans. Are you thinking of consolidating your debt with a home equity loan? Union Home Mortgage wants you to know the average homeowner has over $200,000 of home equity available, and they can help you get access to your money quickly and easily. Go to UHM.com to get your cash estimate today. You'll score financial freedom with Union Home Mortgage, the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Union Home Mortgage Corp. is an equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 2229.
At Ohio State, we are the never afraid to innovate teams, the agile, get it done teams, the achieve more together teams, and the improve people's lives teams. Together, we are the Ohio State University.
Learn more about Ohio State at osu.edu/impact.
For over 37 years, Buckeye Nation has known Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse for serving the best steaks in the city. Our thick-cut, aged steaks are a staple in Columbus, with 3 locations in Upper Arlington, Dublin, and downtown. And just like the Buckeyes, we strive for excellence and an experience like no other. Hyde Park is proud to introduce the newly added wine room at our downtown Columbus location, where a new elegance in dining surrounds you, creating the ideal setting for any occasion or the perfect night out. Hyde Park is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
Around here, it's all-wheel drive all year round, and Toyota has more all-wheel drive choices than anyone. Now through February 2nd, you can get $5,000 customer cash on remaining new 25 Tundras. Or get 0.99 APR financing on Tundra plus $1,000 TFS APR cash. With approved credit through TFS, excludes TRD Pro. APR cash must be applied to deal. For complete details, go to Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. You're listening to the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Buckeyes are known for paying it forward. That's why Buckeyes Care strives to serve the betterment of our community by positively impacting families across Ohio. Join partners American Electric Power, Kroger, Donato's, the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the James Cancer Hospital, Huntington Bank, and WBNS-TV in Columbus in supporting this cause at ohiostatebuckeyes.com/Buckeyes Care. And welcome back to our show this week. We'll go back to our Union Home Mortgage inbox questions. Diane in Columbus asking, when you talk about having a good practice, what does a good practice consist of? And how do you measure it?
Yeah, well, it starts with having guys available. I think that helps. Listen, what we're looking for is, high attention to detail, execution, right, this time of year. And then you want guys who got some joy and some energy when they come into the gym and competing. I think that's the thing. We want, even if it's 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 rebounding, like we want to be really competitive, and this group has done that. This group has a good competitive spirit about them. We play hard consistently. We play with toughness, I think the biggest challenge is, attention to detail, and, that's what I think those things define a good practice, and getting out of there, no injuries too.
Understood.
Man, we're talking about practice.
Yes,
practice,
absolutely.
Man,
Still value that around here, Ron.
Not a game. But Coach, are we at that point in the season where you have to start maybe reducing practice time? Because
practice less. Yeah. Yep. I think the amount of time you're in the gym is a little bit less, especially considering some of the minutes guys are playing. Learned that from Thad Mata when I was with him. I think it's important. You want your guys to feel their best on game day for that week. No one's 100% anymore, right? But you want to help them get to a position where they can feel close. At least the best day that week is on game day. And so utilizing sports science, how much time we spend, like all of that stuff, while also certainly making sure we're accomplishing what we need to accomplish, going over what we need to go over in preparation for the next game.
Speaking of, Maryland's the next game, Thursday night. Any early nuggets on the Terrapins?
Yeah, they got a guy in Coyd who's capable of scoring 40, and has
He's done
multiple
it twice.
times.
Yeah,
so
twice.
I think he is really dynamic. They do a really good job on the boards. And tough place to play. They got a freshman guard in Adams who's had some big-time games. So I think, they've had some guys really step up, even as far as recently in some of the games, that you just got to have a heightened awareness, though, of where a couple of these guys are. And then when that shot goes up, like that is ultimately where the game begins again, right? Like that shot goes up, they crash really hard, they do a good job on the defensive glass, so that's going to be an important battle this game, and we got to take care of the ball. That's important. Keeping teams out of transition offense this time of year is critical. You do that by taking care of the ball.
Well, this should never happen, but it does from time to time when you look at a team that might be struggling. You look at what has happened to Maryland in recent games, getting beat by a large margin. How do you make sure that the team doesn't take that for granted and say, well, this could be a little easier here against a team that's struggled in recent games?
Yeah, our guys know enough about Big Ten basketball to know that if you can't take let alone a game, but a segment of a game lightly. Because if you do, we've seen it in games. Like we've seen us not have the same pop and a team flip a score real quick. It's happened to us. Hasn't happened very often, which is great, but you see that. Our guys have got great respect for this league. We certainly got great respect for this league when we travel. And, Maryland's they're right up there, just like we would respect any other opponent. I think, you got to throw records out the window this time of year. It is how well can you prepare to go be your best, whether you're home or away against that team. That's our focus. We got to prepare for Maryland, certainly, and we will, just like we would anybody else. But this is also about us and about us playing and continuing to raise our level this time of year.
Kind of knowing what the answer is going to be, and you're deep enough in the season where you have this whole season to evaluate. But with a team like Maryland, whose roster completely turned over, does that play any part in kind of your prep and looking at them? From the previous year?
I think we got enough information, this year to focus on what those guys have done at Maryland. You certainly are mindful of, who they were before they got there, and coaching tendencies and things. We will go back and look at multiple years of end of game stuff. I've talked about that before. So, I think what you also see throughout the course of the year is teams kind of mold and change even within a season, and I think we've seen that with them. I know there's been some scores that haven't gone in their favor, but there's also been some segments of games where you're like, whoa, that's a team, they get it rolling, and they're like, it's big time. So you want to prevent them, right, from getting into a rhythm and getting that going offensively, and then you got to be tough on the other side, and we got to take care of the ball and be the team that determines. Like we talk about it being on our terms a lot when we have the ball in our hands. It's a big focus for us. They're a really good team. Like every team in this league is good. Every team in this league has talent. You got to bring your best stuff every night, and that's what we're going to focus on trying to get ready to do.
Every coach has their emphasis. When you look at a team that's coached by Buzz Williams, what should you expect?
Toughness, rebounding, defensive aggressiveness, Yeah, I mean, he's.
Have you faced him as an assistant or?
We played against him last year.
Okay, yeah, that's right, with Texas A&M. That's right.
Played against him last year.
That's right.
Yep.
See, I wasn't even there, Ron, and I remembered that. You got any questions you want to ask Ron before we wrap it up, Jake?
No. I figured you'll have some off air after that slip up right there. I don't want to get in the middle of that, but. No, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thanks for today.
Likewise. Thanks for listening to today's show, presented by Roosters and brought to you statewide by Encova Insurance and by the American Dairy Association Mideast. Join us Thursday as Ohio State plays in Maryland. Our pregame coverage starts at 7:45. For Skip Mossick, Cole Bartimas, Ron Stokes, and Coach Jake Diebler, this is Paul Keels. Thanks for listening. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.